Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today on a new Passion Pod. I'm Lauren, the Director of Development, for those who don't know.
I'm Allie, the Director of Marketing and PR.
And I'm Tosca, the founder and CEO of Passionflix.
Woohoo!
And I'm home from Montana.
I know.
We're all in California.
We're all in California, which is
We're all
really
back.
kind of bizarre because I was like, in a state that had very limited cases. And now I'm in a city and state that, you can barely walk outside.
Yeah, it still freaks me out to see some restaurants have like outdoor seating and stuff and people sitting there, or like the bar near us, Allie, has a bunch of outdoor seating, and I'm just like, this is weird.
It is very weird.
But here we are.
We're back.
Here we are.
And what have we all been up to? I've been I hired a screenwriter to get our quickies underway.
Oh, cool!
Which is
Yay!
We should have some of those back soon, so that we can start producing and getting those going, which is exciting. I read a new book that I really liked, and I'm gonna mention it, but I haven't reached out to the author yet. It's You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Daria. It released on August 4th. I was in Target and walking by, and it was on my radar, but I saw it at Target and I was like, oh, I gotta get it. And so I read that, and it's about a telenovela star and a soap opera star coming together for a new TV show.
Okay, that sounds pretty awesome.
It's so brilliant, and it's so good, and like, yeah, it was great. I loved it, and I finished it. I think I read it. I started reading it at 9 p.m. and I finished it at 1:30 a.m. Like, I read it in 4 hours. So I'm gonna be emailing her very soon. Wink, wink. But that was a book I read recently that I really loved. And I
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'll bring it into the office. And we have a few announcements coming soon of new authors. One in particular that we're excited about that'll happen soon. That's Allie's department, but that's exciting. So we've had a pretty good couple weeks, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, just to give everyone the heads up in case Daisy makes a surprise appearance here, we're all working from home, as you can see, so I'm on mom duty right now. But what have I been working on? Passioncon. We have some exciting Passioncon announcements coming up. A couple of authors have decided to join us, and I think everyone's going to be really excited, so we'll be sharing that information very soon. And just in case you forget, Passioncon is now May 14th through 16th. Tickets are still available. It's a limited amount, but there are still some available. And let's see what else. We've ordered some new merch. So we have some new Gabriel's Inferno merch and Passionflix merch coming. Those Kincaid shirts, they're coming. I think they should be next week
Finally.
or so. Yeah. And some other exciting things coming up. And then we're working on some exciting things, getting ready for part 3 of Gabriel's Inferno. So some exciting promo stuff.
Yeah. So speaking on part 3, that's I guess where I jump in.
Yeah.
We're still working on our sound, so we have now finally gotten a little bit of music that's come in for I think, as I mentioned, we have like the same amount of music that's in part 1 and 2 is in part 3, and music, when you create music and it's original music, it takes a lot longer to make, and so we're going to be listening to some of those cues today and giving notes to the composer, and we start that back and forth, which is really exciting because it's like jumping right back into the creative again after waiting for a few weeks for them to write something. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do. It's because part 3 is so different from part 1 and part 2.
It feels like a different movie.
Yeah. Well, and then it ends up being a different movie.
It is.
And so, just with the whole, we have, I guess people have watched the movie, but we have the whole, situation with Simon. We have the resolution with her family. We have, and then we have the beautiful conversation about Maya, and then we have Italy. And so, hopefully I haven't given away too many spoilers here, but there's so many different levels to part 3. So, and the music really needs to capture that. So it's going to take some time. And then we're also looking at potentially filming next month. So this is where all those quickies come in play. So as soon as we get, we're going to test out shooting with some short films. So, you know, we just want to test our COVID protocols and make sure everyone feels safe and comfortable. And, you know, so many, I'm sure a lot of you know, but we actually use the same crew on almost all of our movies. And so when we test out these protocols, we'll be testing them out with the same people that will go ahead and then make Fueled and Crashed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ah, so exciting.
Please let that move forward.
Again, I just want to say that I do appreciate how cautious we've been, because we've been seeing other productions get started, and so far there hasn't been any crazy stories of like huge breakouts on sets or anything like that. But I'm glad that we're taking a little bit of baby steps to get back into it, because we're just being safe about it. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
We also don't have the you know, quite honestly, we can't. There are two reasons. One, I'm not okay with being responsible for anyone getting sick or anyone dying. That's my number one thing. It's like, it's just not worth it. Please take care of yourself. Yeah. But the second thing is that, you know, unlike something like a Netflix or HBO or any of these other guys, we can't afford it if we have to shut down. So if we have to shut down in the middle of the shoot, it would be such an enormous cost to us that we would have a hard time picking back up. And that's just that. So therefore it just ruins it again. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything safely, that everyone feels comfortable, that we're able to move forward in a very, you know, practical manner. And that, you know, so that's those are the major reasons, you know, and so.
Tosca, can you share a little bit with why there's so much cost involved when you have to pause a production?
Sure. So in order to start, so basically we have 3 different periods in filmmaking. We have prep, principal photography, and post-production. The most expensive part is principal photography. So meaning you are burning hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. And if you have to stop production, even though you're not filming anything, you're still paying that money out. Because a lot of people still need to be paid, some people are on contracts, you're still paying the actors, you're still renting all the equipment, all the locations have been paid for, all those things are, you know, you've already bought everything. So it costs a lot. So if you rented a stage, for example, you're still paying the stage rental, you're still paying all the crew that have to take care of everything there. Some crew members, I guess you cannot pay, but that just also feels kind of uncomfortable. So sometimes there's some crew that will go on sort of an unpaid leave, but then you'll lose them, and then you have to find new crew and have them prep everything, and then you have to start prep again.
And it's complicated.
So a lot of times movies are made in prep. As much time as you can spend in preparing a project, that saves you money when you go into principal photography. So if you have to then go back to prep and prep again with new people, then it's basically it costs a lot to ramp it up. You know, when we were in Syracuse shooting Gabriel's Rapture earlier this year, Melanie and Julio got really sick. We think maybe it was COVID, but we don't know because there were no tests at the time. It was in January,
right.
But it was upstate New York. So I'm going with, something happened. And a lot of people got sick. But when we had to shut down production for just a few days, and we're still talking to the insurance company about that, because at the time we were insured for something like that. Now insurance companies will not insure you for COVID. So you can't, so even if we shut down, we would, because somebody got sick, we would not be insured for those days. So it's tricky. It's just expensive. Each day is expensive on film. So, and of course we have to buy full PPE for every single crew member every day.
Right.
That's the new one. And we have to have tests done 3 times a week.
Thermometer.
So we need to have tests done 3 times a week. we have to pay for all of it. And other crew members, so the main crew, so myself and the actors and people who are in this sort of zone A have to have tests 3 times a week, if not every day. And then everyone else is once a week. And then if anybody has a temperature, we have to shut down for 24 hours. So it's like, it's pretty strict.
Pretty intense.
So there you go.
Good we're getting prepared, and then good we're starting small. So that's so.
Yeah, well, with quickies, it's a little different. So we'll all get our tests. We'll prep. We can prep separately, and then we'll go in and we'll shoot. And the shoot for one quickie is 2 days. So in 2 days, we're able to shoot a short film. It's only 10 minutes, but that's how long it takes you to film 2 days, and take you 3 weeks to prep that, 2 days to shoot it, and then about a month to finish it. So we're going to try and do a bunch of those. And just keep everyone safe.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And speaking of crew, you mentioned before that we work with a lot. Today we have a very special guest joining us. She has successfully cast several hundred projects, including like various feature films and TV shows. And she is also responsible for casting quite a lot of our projects, our Passionflix originals. And so I am very excited to welcome Lindsay Chag. Hold on, I'm admitting her now. Woohoo! Hi, Lindsay.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh my God, it's so good to see your faces. Wow.
You too.
Yeah, this is
I
awesome.
want to hug you.
From afar.
Yes.
Virtual hug.
So, Lindsay,
Happy birthday, Lauren.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And how have you been? How have you been doing?
Oh, great. Stuff? I mean, I actually feel guilty saying that a little bit, but knock on whatever, computer, plastic. Things are, I've been keeping busy, and I'm healthy. Everybody I know is healthy, thank heavens. So, I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Lindsay's cast like almost every movie that I've ever done, like even outside of Passionflix.
Wow.
Right. We go way back.
We go way back.
Like even to like around 2000 or 2001-ish.
Yep.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
I
early days.
Yeah.
Very early days. That's so awesome.
Yes. I even got her out on a tennis court once or twice.
You did? She did.
Yes.
She did. I was like, oh, we're going to be friends.
I love
And then I gave her tequila.
Yes. And that cemented it, right?
Cemented the relationship.
And that's still in every contract.
Yes, it is. 100%.
Yes.
Really
We owe her a lot of tequila.
Sure.
Right. I have a little invoice, tequila invoice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did.
Love it. And so
I'm serious.
A lot of our people listening don't really know what a casting director does or how you specifically got into the job. So I was wondering if you could give us a little backstory about your career and kind of how you got started, and then.
Absolutely. Do you want the 10-second version or the 1-minute version?
I think the 1-minute version's fine.
The 1 minute? Okay.
Or longer.
We're
we're here.
So, I mean, interestingly enough, I did not target casting at all, or even being in the entertainment business. When I went to school, I got into MIT and I wanted to work for NASA. That was my dream at the time. But what's interesting is my mom's dad came over from Italy and was a barber at 20th Century Fox. So as a kid, she would visit him, and she fell in love with the movie business, and gave that to me. So my entire life, ever since I can remember, I was watching movies, watching TV, and I knew who actors were, and I loved that. But it never translated into a career. Then I ended up going to Stanford instead for other reasons, and I walked into the drama department one day. This is so true. I walked in there, and I had this sense of being, it was almost sacred, of being home, like really home for the first time. And I knew I didn't want to act because I have zero talent, like below zero, But being around actors and being around artists was something that just filled my spirit and my soul in a way that nothing ever had. And I came down to LA after I graduated, and I sent my resume around, and some casting directors responded. I got an internship, and boom. That's
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's, I really do believe the universe sometimes can gently shove us in the direction we're meant to go.
Yeah.
And that happened for me. And I have to say, working with artists and being around artists is, to this day, it's been, I've been doing it a few years, but it's still exciting to me. It's still so thrilling and exciting. And I feel really lucky to be in this business.
Yeah, well, I think one of your greatest talents is uncovering and discovering some of these incredible actors out there.
Yay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's and believe me, it's tough. Lindsay and I spend a lot of time on email and phone. And most of the time it's like, I've got this great actor, you should see them. I'm like, I don't know, I don't see it. I'm not sure about it. And Lindsay's like, trust me, this is the one. I'm like, okay. And I'm like fighting it. And then she's almost, I'd say 99% right. 99%.
Oh, only, we'd have to raise that. I have to work on that this year.
Sometimes, no, I'm generally not.
That's the fun of it, and the challenge and the satisfaction, is to me, because I have so much respect for you, Tosca. So when you started Passionflix, and I saw, not no pun intended, but how passionate you were about it, it was exciting, and it was contagious. And it was a different kind of casting than I had ever done, which is fantastic because you do have to match the character in the book.
Right.
And I remember when I was a little kid reading To Kill a Mockingbird and then seeing the movie.
Right.
And, you have this, your heart and soul's invested in the book, and you want that movie to honor the book. That's so important as a viewer and as a fan, So finding the people that not only can act and are creatively right for the part, but look the part, and as close a resemblance as you can get is it's so difficult, and it's such a challenge, but it's so gratifying when it happens, and it does. It's just a matter of, turning over enough stones to find that talent, that elusive talent.
And our fans and the authors really appreciate it.
Yay. Well, it's really exciting to be part of a genre that people, are so excited about, isn't it? I mean, life has its little challenges, but when we have, when you have romance novels and you're so excited about reading the next one and seeing, the movie come out, and to me, I love tennis too. So that, those are the things that keep us going, right, during the difficult times. And it's, you're offering something to people, which is wonderful.
I love that. Could you tell us some projects that you worked on outside of Passionflix that we might be familiar with?
Yeah, she doesn't work for anybody else besides Passionflix.
Right. Yes, not that any of these count. They don't.
On me?
Never. But before I knew, Tosca, the first film I ever did was Robin Hood Men in Tights.
No way! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
That was my first feature ever. It was, and then we followed it up with Dracula Dead and Loving It, which wasn't as big a hit, but it was fun.
That's amazing.
And I did TV series. I did a Jamie Lee Curtis series, Anything But Love. I did a series Sam Worthington produced for Crackle, Sony Crackle, called Cleaners. I did a couple films with Forrest Whitaker, which was one of the highlights of my career. He's incredible.
He's
yeah. And I've done a lot of TV movies, a lot. It's crazy how many. It's actually in the hundreds, which is amazing. So for Lifetime, for Hallmark, for Ion, all of those.
And is that how you met Tosca?
I met Tosca, yes, right? Tosca was, we were working with another producer.
Yeah, we did a horror film. That's how we first met.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Horror
genre.
Very, very. It was a more elegant type of horror film, so it was more psychological. So it was a little bit more interesting and beautifully done. So that's how we met. And then I started producing films for another company, for Lifetime and Hallmark. And I was like, I have the best casting director, and introduced her to that company. And now I believe she still does casting for them, but we don't talk about it.
Oh yeah, no. Who is that? No. No.
Because I just figured she only just follows me.
I do. Yes.
My team.
I mean, that doesn't even need to be said, really.
You can tell that I'm slightly possessive of my wonderful team.
And so, Tosca, when did you first approach her about being involved with Passionflix? It was for Hollywood Dirt, right? Or
Yeah, well, right before that, Lindsay had cast 2 movies that I directed for Ion. And so we just finished those movies, and then I was like, okay, we're going to do Passionflix, and yeah, the first person that I called on casting was Lindsay.
Nice. Cool. That's so wonderful.
It really was. It was such a novel concept. It was, I wasn't expecting that, and I remember when I got the call, I was like, wow, interesting.
Yeah.
And then what it's blossomed into is incredible.
Thanks.
It's incredible.
And we can certainly start talking about some of I think it's some of the more difficult aspects of casting.
Right. Well, I was going to ask, can you walk us a little through the process of what it's like to find our leading men and ladies?
There are some things that are similar, and repetitive with each film, and then there's always the unexpected that you hope for and count on in casting. The routine is usually sending the script out, talking to agents, prepping them even before I have a script, that I have another great Passionflix movie coming up, and I want to familiarize them with the novel or the material, and a lot of the job is drumming up excitement, because if I'm excited, they're excited about something, and I think that really makes a difference. So we go through all their rosters, the agents will all pitch their clients to me, and we go through them all. And inevitably, you have to do that several times. Mm-hmm. And even then, sometimes you don't find the right person. You just don't find the right person. And so many times, Tosca knows this. I mean, it gets a little dicey there, because we're like, we still haven't found it. Something doesn't quite feel right. Mm-hmm. And the more that we've done this, I think we both now trust the process enough to know that somehow the person will appear.
Yeah.
Somehow. And it's a matter of you keep looking. You just don't quit. You keep at it and keep at it, and contact more managers, or I keep logs on television shows I watch and films, and keep track of actors that way. And then the fans are wonderful, because they suggest talent, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So I have little helpers there, that I can always count on. But you never really know where that special diamond is going to pop up. Right. And that's what keeps it fresh and exciting, I think.
I was going to say, Lindsay, we get a lot of suggestions from our fans, and I know some of the fans were asking how they could submit their ideas. And if you tell us on social media, we will make sure to get the word to Lindsay. So just keep doing it like you're doing it.
Love it. Yes.
We're paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that kind of makes it a little bit more fun, actually, because we're like, who is this person that they're recommending? Hey, Lindsay, have you heard of this guy named Giulio Baruti? And she's like, why, yes, his manager just emailed me.
I know, that was something, wasn't it? That was, you talk about synchronicity.
Yeah.
That was meant to be. But how exciting for fans that they feel they can be part of it too, though. I think that's really awesome.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Because on my list, Tosca, I mean, the lists I do have different categories, and it has, fan suggestions.
Yeah.
Which is
I love all the times you would send a bunch of like a list of actors or all the reels to Tosca, and then she'd sit down and be like, all right, open the wine, we gotta find someone. It'd be like our Wine Wednesday tradition.
I love that. I didn't know that.
And now we're watching.
That's cool.
It's always fun.
I should be invited next time.
Definitely.
Yes,
we'll do it via Zoom.
Okay.
I love it. Yes, we should do that via Zoom. And so Tosca, so a project coming up that a lot of people are getting excited about is This Man.
Yes.
And have you and Lindsay started talking about Jesse and Ava?
We have briefly, more on broad concepts, gone through it, because it's tricky, because at the same time, all of the This Man characters are in the UK. So it's me going, hey, Lindsay, how do you feel about casting a movie not in this country? And she's like, great, sure, no problem, I can do that. But then at the same time, we've cast, casting Melanie and Giulio out of Italy and Australia. So I'm like, well, how hard can it be to cast somebody directly out of the UK to actually film in the UK? And Lindsay's the best. So she's the only one that's going to, she's my girl. But yeah, so we've had some broad stroke concept, broad conversations about Jesse and Ava. We haven't done the we haven't done the full search yet. We're basically going to start analyzing all of the cast, all of the talent that all the fans have started sending in. So that's what we're going to start with that.
Yay.
And then Lindsay's going to tell me that she might tell me that Charlie Hunnam and Alexander Skarsgård are not available for us. And then we'll all cry.
How rude.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
That's normally what it is. It's like, we would like, and then we like list off these like A-list actors. And Lindsay very politely comes back and says, Alexander Skarsgård's not available. How about?
He said no.
But I'm like, oh, thanks for checking. She's like, yep. He's not available for this one.
Well, you never know, right?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know until you ask. Totally fair.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Lindsay, you found our new Colton for us, which was exciting.
I did.
Can you tell us anything about him without giving anything away? We've been asking a bunch of different people this to describe him in
that's challenging. He's fantastic. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm so excited. It's like when you get to recast something, you know, it has its own challenges. But when you find somebody who rises to the occasion and who you know is going to be, you know, as good, even better, then, you know, which often does happen, it's just fantastic. And we were lucky enough to find somebody amazing who's gorgeous and sexy. I mean, not that ever hurts. And he can act, and he's excited about it, and he knows about the material, and he's a fan, and we couldn't have asked for something better. It's very exciting.
Yeah, he's read the books. You know, what I loved about that whole search was, you know, because it's tricky, you know, and it's especially because we're bringing in somebody else to take over a role that somebody else did. So when you sent it to this lovely gentleman, initially there was a little bit of concern, more from his people rather than him. Going, you know, we're not really sure if, you know, if we want him to take over this role, it's, you know, could be a high stress, whatever. And Lindsay is the one that kept going, this is great. He's great for it. Trust me on this. And then she just kept going back to him, to his people rather, until it got to him. And he's like, wow, they really do want me for this. He read it. He read the books. He's like, this is great. So he came in, but it was Lindsay that was like really, so even when we're like, oh, okay, maybe he doesn't want to do it, you know, I think people understand that, you know, sometimes agents and managers can maybe get a little bit in the way, but Lindsay just kept pushing and saying, no, please let, you know, I almost said his name there for a second, but have him
heart attack. I saw it.
Like, cool, now I got to edit that out.
I didn't say it.
You didn't say it, I know.
No.
I know.
But I was
I'm
like,
nervous about it. I feel like it just wants to pop out of my mouth.
It does. We're not going to.
Not.
But it was really great because then even he came in and he goes, wow, I really appreciate you guys, you know, pushing through, and Lindsay pushing through to make sure that I actually saw this material, because I do love it and I really want to do it. And so sometimes it just requires somebody like Lindsay to really, you know, again, it's that enthusiasm when it comes to speaking with the agents and when it comes to really pitching Passionflix and the stories that we have. And it's Lindsay out there in the front lines going, you'll love this. It's great for him. It's great for her. It's truly, they want this person. And so I think that we'll all be very, very happy when we meet him eventually.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm glad he said yes.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's going to be very exciting. And I think the fans will be happy, you know.
And I just hung out, Lindsay, I just hung out with Olivia Applegate last weekend. She came to Montana. She was driving through, and she came and stayed with me in Montana for a couple of nights. And we had a great time talking about him as well, and, you know, the upcoming shoot, and she's super excited about moving forward. And then we spoke with Tommy Hobson, again, another amazing human being that we met. And he's super excited about moving forward. And you know,
Tommy Hobson and James Austin Kerr were both like, we let our agents know that if you guys ever reach out, we're like, yeah, we're on board. I'm like, oh, okay.
By the way, James should definitely be in another Passionflix movie.
Yes, he should.
Agreed.
Find a spot for him.
He's
Yay. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I have a couple of founding member questions for you, because we have our very dedicated fans, and we love, before getting started on PassionPod, we ask them a question about our guests, and they can write their own inquiries about like what they want to know, how you work, and all that stuff.
Okay.
We had Pam. She asked, "Have you ever cast an actor that you wish you hadn't?"
Not that I can recall, honestly.
That's good.
The opposite is true. Sometimes that I wish I could cast multiple people sometimes in a role, because there are different ways it could go, and I just love actors so much, and sometimes that there's only one role, and then there are all these actors, and it's hard to sometimes choose just that one at the end. But no, I don't actually think that way, that there's somebody that I regret. No.
You know what, just adding on to that, Lindsay, sometimes you send out actors and then, and we're like, wow, this guy's great. We're going to go with the other direction, but let's keep this guy on the list for the next one. And then, so we have this running list of actor and actresses that we really love. And then when we come back to the next project, Lindsay's like, hey, how about this person? Remember, we loved him for this, but now he's available,
Yeah. There's so many. There's so many wonderful actors out there. I just wish I could cast them all sometimes, but that's probably not going to happen.
No, fair. But no,
we're making a lot of movies, so you never know.
Right. Yes.
We've made so many so far. We've got more coming. It's going to be awesome. And I also just think it's brilliant that like we can feel the love of actors that you have coming off of you. Like it's just, I can now see why so many people will like talk to you about a project and be like, yeah, let's go. It's great. And so we also have a founding member, Lucinda, who asked, do you send the script to agents first, or do you send it directly to the actors? I know sometimes like either an actor is between representation, or sometimes it's like
usually
first.
And that's a good point. If they're represented, it goes to their representatives first, the manager or the agent, or both. If I happen to run into an actor somewhere in a bowling alley and I think they're right for a Passionflix project, I'll go up and talk to them about that. I actually do that a lot, which sounds a little, I've cast people that are waiters in restaurants, that you just think there's something right about their energy that's very compelling. So I'll remember that person. I'll hand them my card. I go and see showcases and classes and we'll send material to maybe acting teachers sometimes, for somebody that's in a class, or as many avenues as I can to reach talent, I will pursue. But usually the material goes to the representatives first.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I'm sure those moments where you hand someone your card, like randomly, you just bumped into them, or you're like, oh, you have that look. It's like makes their day.
I hope so.
Hollywood for a reason, It's like,
I hope so, because actors, they're out there putting their heart and soul on the line almost every day. When they audition, they're just exposing themselves, and they're so vulnerable, and they're exposing themselves to judgment in that moment, and to be rejected over and over, because again, only one person gets cast, so you're going to be rejected, 90% of the time. Right. But they keep at it, and why? Because they love it. They love it. That's who they are. They need to express themselves, creatively, and I think it's to me a joy to be able to encourage that wherever I can. If it's in an audition setting, that's fantastic. I try to do that, but also out of it too. I think it's important for us all to encourage each other, especially in this time.
Lift each other up, exactly.
Yeah, and keep hope alive, and keep your dreams alive. It's so important.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And we also have Flor and Mila who asked, Lindsay, do you read the books before you start the casting process?
I wish I could read them all. I read as many as I can. It's a time thing, but when I do, it's fun, because I try to read. It's the same thing with reading a script, or a book. I try to read it just for the material and the story, and to get inside of it. And I try not to think about casting at all, because it derails me. Because if I start reading something and I start thinking of casting, I'll want to, jot down ideas. Right. And then it takes me 10 days to read something. So I actually have committed to just reading a book or the script first, and not thinking about specific casting, and getting a feel for it. And then I'll go back and attack it from a casting standpoint.
Yeah.
So the short answer is I don't read them all, but I try to read as many as I can.
That's great.
I
And-
actually have a question just before your next one, Lauren. Sorry. I know this is one of those delicate areas that Lindsay and I are always discussing, because we do have Passionflix and we do have situations where actors are required, I guess, in many ways because of the story and the script, to perform some nudity. So we have Daisy in the background as I'm talking about this. Hi, Daisy.
Oh, Daisy. I love Daisy so much. She's so cute.
Sorry, I just keep looking back at her. Okay, sorry.
She's fine. No,
Okay.
good. But I know that you and I often have to go through this because we have to analyze each script, and then we need to very particularly write down what pages we might need to see things on, and what we want to see, and how much we're going to see, and then we have to present it to them, and we have to somehow make the agents, the managers, and the actors feel very comfortable with how their bodies are going to be portrayed and handled.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about the difficulty, I guess is the word, of pitching the project out there, knowing that there is going to be some additional skin needed to be shown?
Yeah.
How does that normally work? How do you go about doing that? Because it's
Well, when I present the the material to somebody, excuse me, I have a little summer allergies. When I present the material, I usually don't say anything, because I want to know what their reaction is to the material, and what I'm hoping for, and do get most of the time, is a very positive response to it, and that's what you want, regardless of the genre. Yes, this genre certainly has, its hurdles, but many others do too. So, that is something that I approach, but I don't see it as a problem. That's what's interesting. In the beginning, I thought, and then I thought about my approach, and I thought about, like anything else, what we want to find is talent who is excited about the material. Why would we ever want to cast somebody who doesn't have that same passion for it that you do? I mean, that's so important. It's like, I want to know that they want to do this. I don't want to talk them into it. And then sometimes I have to talk representatives into it, as you just mentioned, because they're not visualizing the big picture sometimes, and they're just looking at the black and white points of, well, what's the budget? Oh, there's nudity. Oh, this. And they don't stop to really look at the material, with their heart. And that's what I'm after. So everything else works if that works. If somebody responds to something, everything else can be worked out, I feel. I really do feel that. The other thing is, because it's a way of honoring the material too. It's not as if we're doing a piece of material and something is gratuitous. Or we're trying to offend anybody. I mean, it's the opposite of that. It's a celebration of the material, and it's an extension of that. So I just think that's a key component to presenting the project as a whole. And if you do it that way, again, it falls into place. Not everybody will do nudity, of course, but not everybody will do violence. Not everybody. I remember offering an actress the role of a psychiatrist, and it was a terrific script. It was a high budget. It was paying a lot of movie, a very good director attached. And she passed because her religion actually did not embrace the idea of psychology. So, there's certain things that are beyond our control, so I'm like, okay, you accept that, and then you go on to somebody else. And, but it's about knowing that the material, speaks for itself, I think. And people that are excited by it will absolutely embrace it.
Yeah. And on that, my child has decided
I
to.
know.
But I'm not the only one.
Entrance. That was a great entrance.
Brilliant. And I have a question that we might have already touched on, but I just wanted, I guess, clarification, because I went to school in the film world and all of that, but we in film school are not necessarily taught like fully about the full process of going into casting, or like, we do the small scale small scale film to start, where it's like you
Right.
just talk to who you know kind of thing, doing the student film thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that you work primarily with just directors, or is it sometimes that you're approached by like a producer first and then later attached to the director? I know Tosca wears all these hats, and she's like,
yes.
reaches right out to you, and it's brilliant. But I guess what's more of the standard too of how you go through the process?
It depends on whether it's television or film.
Okay.
You know, a lot of television, the producers will reach out first.
Got it.
And I will be brought on board to start casting before there's even a director hired.
Oh, wow. Right.
So
Okay.
that happens a lot in the television movie genre. In series, sometimes that happens as well. Like I would do, you know, I'll do casting sessions with the producers before a director's involved, or the director then is brought on. So that seems to be more of a producer medium. In film, it depends. It's a little more collaborative. If the director is well known, then they're going to be heading, you know, steering the ship a little bit. And I absolutely get contacted by both. I get contacted by directors that say, let me introduce you to our producers, and vice versa.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
I knew there was some way of doing it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of skipped over this question because I thought we touched on it, but maybe we can touch on it a little bit more. Tosca's question kind of touched on it, but is there anything else that's kind of different about working on a Passionflix movie than you've seen with other projects?
The main thing is that the characters precisely should match the character in the book.
Right.
Physically.
Right. Does that make it a little harder to?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, and I understand it too. I really do understand it. If a character in a book that you read this book or a book series and you're excited and you know, becomes part of your reality is you know, the book and the characters and it's somebody who is blonde and blue-eyed and 6'2", you don't want to look at the movie representation of that book. It's somebody who's 5'8" and brunette and has dark eyes. You know, it's just not right. So, I mean, you have to honor that. You absolutely have to honor that. But that restricts the talent pool for sure. I have a lot of agents where I'll put out the breakdown saying we need blonde, 6'2", you know, green eyes, let's say. And they'll write back saying, well, 6'2", blonde, but light brown eyes. I mean, can't you just, you know, and there's always that, can't you just.
Yeah.
Yes, we could have somebody wear color contacts, but that's not, you know, there's something that's not as authentic about that. And you want to find the real person, you know, and it's similar to other casting because the goal is to find somebody who's authentically that role.
Yeah.
So in non-Passionflix films, we can vary looks. You know, because what we're looking for is that soul, the spirit of the character. So you can change things and present different ideas and ideas out of left field and you know, be really creative with this. With this, you can't do that as much.
Right.
You have to present the physical, you know, characteristics as well. So it's its own little cubicle of rules and restrictions. But I like that because, you know, it's fun. It's different.
Yeah,
it's really different.
Well, definitely power to you and Tosca for that, because that's a lot of hard work. I remember, Tosca, there were a couple of times where you'd be like, Lauren, does the author say the exact height? And I'll go in the book and I'll be like, yep, she says 6'4" right here. And we're just like, great.
Yeah, but I understand that. I think when I first started casting these, I don't think I really completely understood how important that was.
Very important.
And then I thought about, well, when I read books, and I have a vision of this character, the worst thing is when you see the movie version and it lets you down. Yep. It's just, it's terrible. It's terrible. I remember being crestfallen so many times, you know, after that. So
all the more reason to bow down to you and Tosca for all of your dedication to getting it right, you know.
And it's Tosca, you know, Tosca leads the way with that. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, she is, you know, because inevitably sometimes I will send somebody who I will slip through the cracks. You know, and it'll be somebody who I didn't notice was 5'10" and should be 6'4", and that's important. That is an important.
We have gone through that,
right? But then I go back. I go, oh gosh, that's right. So you try to remember, you know, but sometimes things slip through. But Tosca always keeps me very centered, you know, and I'm motivated to give her exactly, you know, what she's looking for. I mean, that's something that I don't want to stop. I don't want her to feel she has to settle, or the fans.
Right.
I mean, that would just be so
You're
disappointing.
great at that. There have been like some of our early ones, and we have done a few. We have cast a few people where maybe the eye color is a little different.
Yeah.
And every single time it's this big panic in me, and I'm like, oh my God, Lindsay, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? But the person really was great, and so we're like, okay, well, we speak with the author, we get their input on this, like how do we feel about certain things, but for the most part, it's just not done, and you know, it's just too important for us to get it right. And there are so many incredible actors in the whole world, because Passionflix is not restrictive to just America. Although right now in COVID, it might be America. But we're very open to the entire world, which is one of the wonderful things about Lindsay, is that we'll start, you know, close to home, and then we'll just start opening it up. And next thing you know, we're casting out of Italy and Australia.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Which is really great, because the idea is to find the best actor who looks the part, who is passionate about this role. And that's you know, the three criteria that we have, because we don't have to have star names.
Right. No, they just have to fit the character. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they become...
Although Alexander Skarsgård.
I know, that's still on our list.
I don't care what role. I mean, I'd like him for this man, but if it, you know, I'll take him for anything.
Yeah.
Noted.
I'll take either of the Winchester brothers, Jared Padalecki,
Okay.
or Misha Collins, any of those.
And Lindsay, you can do Charlie Hunnam for me.
Okay. That's right. We've talked about that. Okay.
Thanks, Lindsay.
We have our lists for sure.
I've got it. Yeah.
I love.
And mine is Roger Federer.
Oh yeah, his birthday's the same day as me.
Can he act?
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter. First of all, it's Roger Federer. So if the fans like him, then we'll pursue it. If not, then I'll let it be, and I will accept that.
Great. Find us a tennis movie, Lauren.
I really will, because I didn't realize how much Lindsay loves tennis, but I now love you, because I'm obsessed with tennis. Like I played tennis all through high school and stuff.
We will talk.
We will talk. We should play sometime.
You're my new best friend now. So.
Sorry, Tosca. Get out of the way. Just kidding.
Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring.
No, this is so great, because I haven't had really a chance to chat more with Lindsay, because I know Allie will talk to you a lot about different casting announcements, and then Tosca talks to you almost on the daily when we're in prep to try and find the right persons. But you and I very rarely will email each other, but this is our first time seeing each other.
It is. It's great. I know.
Nice to put a face to the name, for sure.
It is. It is. We'll do this a lot more. We can do this every day.
I would love that. That'd be great.
You know?
We'll start doing it pretty soon, because we have a whole bunch of quickies that we're going to be filming. So we'll be sending you those scripts pretty soon.
I love that. That's so exciting. Cool.
They're going to Tosca, and then they'll make their way to you.
Right.
Which will be very exciting. And cool. So that's all the questions I had for today. So I think we can wrap it up. But it was so lovely chatting with you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be chatting with you very soon again.
I love it. I can't wait. It's my pleasure. Hi. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Lindsay.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Oh, I love her so much.
She's so great.
She's so
supportive as well, which is really great. And you know, it can be very stressful when you're casting and you're sitting there and you're like, oh God, I got to find the right one. And there's me going, the time, we're running out of time. We have to find this person. She's like, we will find the right person. We will find the right person. You're like, okay, thanks, Lindsay. Please keep searching. That's basically, you know, our conversation.
Yeah, no,
she's awesome.
Yeah, it's so great. So it's good to talk to her, and I'm sure the fans will like to hear a little bit more about our in-depth process. Sticking close to the book and all that jazz, which is nice. Yeah. It's great. Well, cool. Anything else, ladies, you want to add before we say our goodbyes?
It's nice to be back in LA. I'm surrounded. I've never seen so many people. You know, Montana, we were in a cabin in the woods, and now I'm in Los Angeles, and there's like neighbors outside and just like people around me. It's kind of nice, but a little weird. But otherwise, nice to see people.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, and we will we'll see each other soon. We'll have another Passion Pod coming up for next Monday as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in this week and listening, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe out there.
Bye. Stay safe. Bye.
All right.